40th year for the Whelen Modified Tour. He could be the youngest champion ever. And you say, well, Ryan Preece was a 22-year-old who won the championship in the year that he won it. Yes, but, well, if the last race will be the 28th of October, and that would give the advantage to Austin Beers by just a couple of months. Let's take a look at tonight's race. It's 150 laps. Tire allotment is 2 tire changes per pit stop. Patrick Emmerling, thrilling win last year. Ronnie Silk, he benefited from some misfortune of other drivers by winning in 2023. One of those drivers was Justin Bonsignor, who won in 2022. So the 51 needs to find a little bit of their mojo. They'll start from position number 8 here tonight, and that is deep. Doesn't sound like 4th row is deep, but on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, if you're going to win one of these races, it seems like you have to start in the first 4 or 5 rows. It's very rare that we see someone win from outside of the top 10.
The rumble and roar of 800 horsepower getting ready to go here at the famed Oswego Speedway. The 18th appearance for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, all-time tour-type modified race 143 here tonight on the shores of Lake Ontario. A beautiful Saturday night sunset, and it's time to rip the beasts with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour.
Oh, I cannot wait. It's our annual trip, and so many of the competitors and crews look forward to being here and just feeling the history. As a steward of the sport and as someone who just appreciates history, every single year you think, okay, got to get to Oswego, got to get to Oswego. So thankful to be here and watch these drivers do battle. Lights are out on the pace vehicles as we get ready for a huge showdown. A showdown of Northampton, Pennsylvania, between Matt Hirschman and Austin Beers. Hirschman comes into this race 30 points out of the point lead with 5 races, including tonight, to go. He cannot afford, or he needs to pick up every single bonus point that he can. Talking to these drivers, they're thinking about bonus points. With a shorter field, every position is at a premium. This time, Pace Truck pulls onto the infield, and here we go. The Toyota Mod Classic 150 is underway at Oswego Speedway on Labor Day weekend.
Down the back straightaway the first time into turn number 3. It's going to be big money. Matt Hirschman up in front. Austin Beers rides in 2. Craig Lutz will clear Patrick Emmerling. He takes 3rd here at the line.
Just feel that thunder as they made their way down the front straightaway last time. This time, back into turn number 3, it is all Matt Hirschman. And it's been that way all afternoon. The battle could be brewing for second here before too long. Matter of fact, as we watch Tommy Catalano in the tire tracks of Jake Lutz as they make their way off of turn number 2. Things pretty much single file till you get about mid-pack. But Catalano, very fast race car here this afternoon, has had a fast race car the last couple of years. Wouldn't be a bit surprised to see him break through middle stages of this race. As we said, Steve, this is not going to be a sprint, even though it's a 150-lap event and it could go off pretty quick if it takes on a green flag run. These drivers are going to settle into a groove.
They'll settle into the groove indeed, and they are right now. Ronnie Silk in 5th, and he is a master of setting the pace in that gold silver number 16. Jake Lutz, though, trying to apply the pressure to him as they head into turn number 3.
And look at the guy who loves the big tracks, relatively big tracks. The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour raced at North Wilkesboro earlier this year, and the man that took the ride on the elevator is on the inside of Austin Beers, thinks twice about it, tucks back in behind him into turn number 3, and that's Craig Lutz going after second.
Craig Lutz going after second, but he's about 2 car lengths behind Austin Beers as they'll head back to turn number 1 and 2. Hirschman up in front, Beers rides 2, Lutz in 3rd. They continue to head down the back straightaway. Patrick Emmerling starting to reel in Craig Lutz as Lutz dropped back there from Austin Beers.
Yeah, Emmerling looked like he was a bit out of shape on the first couple of laps, and he might have just had some dirt or whatever on his tires, but he did everything he could to gather it back up, and that's a thinking man. Patrick Emmerling does not overreact. We talk about how Matt Hirschman is a methodical driver, and he is. He learned his note-taking from his dad, which we might talk about a little bit later on during the broadcast. But then you have Patrick Emmerling, who is just as studious. He said, you know what, I'm not going to press the button on this one, not going to panic, and the race came to him. And he is back riding in spot number 4. Right behind them, though, it is the other Lutz, Jacob Lutz, who might want to, he keeps racing these modified tour races. He will not be the other Lutz for too long. That 14 is extremely fast here tonight. He has an amazing record, too. This is only his 10th event, and it's been spread out over a couple of years, but it's hard to believe that he only has 10 races under him. Another great story is Mike Christopher Jr., down on the inside, car number 77. He's had limited modified tour experience, at least here on the tour, and he's been successful too. Ran some races for Tommy Baldwin Racing a couple of years ago, picked up the huge win at Jennerstown on Memorial Day weekend. That was a JDV Productions event, and all the pomp and circumstance that went along with that. Now he's back behind the wheel of the Gary Putnam number 77. Good to see that team out there with a fast race car driver behind the wheel. They have had a number of different guys over the years. Rick Fuller comes to mind, even Ryan Newman recently. But challenging on the outside, further behind them, is Tommy Catalano. And actually, Catalano gets passed by the number 8. That is not John Michael Chanette behind the wheel. It's another young star. We talked about the youth movement in the modified series. There's a bit of that happening here with the driver of the number 8.
It is indeed young gun Andy Lewis Jr. at the keyboards of the John Michael Chanette number 8. They talked at New Smyrna, and John Michael promised Andy Jr. would get him a ride here on the tour, and tonight just happened to be the night. And I know young Andy is racing with a hard heart as well tonight, thinking of Aunt Danielle and Uncle Tony, as Tony Hanbury still continuing to improve from an ATV incident last week.
You are watching night number 2 of the Budweiser International Classic here at Oswego Speedway, and the headliner tonight is the Toyota My Classic 150. You know who I miss, Steve? I miss Ron Silk. I miss Ron Silk in a points battle. And right now he's battling behind Patrick Emmerling. There's a nice shot going into turn number 1. But that number 16 team, they haven't lost anything. Whenever they're out here, it's just, they're always a front runner. They picked up a couple of wins this year. But having been a part of a good chunk of the modified tour this year, I really miss when Ron Silk's not around, because every single year, whether he wins or finishes second, and the last couple of years, that number 16 team, they have been a constant presence at the top of the chart, and it's weird to look at the points and not see Ron Silk's name there.
It was very weird when the series came to Lancaster in July, and it was so weird not seeing that 16 car show up.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Where is the 16? And they made their decision earlier in the year, but I got to tell you, it is such a treat to see Ron Silk out here. Maybe it's like this is going to be a random 80s reference, but I'll go with it. Unsolved Mysteries was a great TV show in the 80s and 90s, but it was only on sporadically when it first came on. And then they put it on every week, and then you stopped watching Unsolved Mysteries because it wasn't such a treat to see it. Now it's just a treat to see Ron Silk on the weeks that he runs. So he's a bit of an unsolved mystery himself. I don't know. That's a reference that maybe 3 people watching the broadcast will get. Congratulations to you. Sorry to everybody else. But he trails number 1, Patrick Emmerling, as they come off of turn number 4.
Patrick works on the outside of turn number 4, a feature winner here at Oswego last year. Here comes Kyle Bonsignor. He's a winner on the tour. He's going to go right after Mike Christopher into turn number 1, and he's going to bring along Trevor Catalano right behind Trevor, also a winner on the tour. Got his win at Monadnock last season.
If you're a girl dad, you can feel what Kyle Bonsignor has gone through the last week or so. It's that time of year where you see the caption on Facebook. How did they get this old? When did this happen? Stop growing. You're going to see that all this week if you haven't seen it already. And talking to Kyle, he has a couple of he has 4 kids, and they're not all going back to school. He has a couple that aren't quite into school yet, but he has one that's went to kindergarten for the first time and helped her on the bus, and he says, it hit differently. I love my kids, and my 15-year-old, we haven't even done the first day of school, back to school pictures yet, but we got to do that. But I'm going to tell you, I really felt something when she got on that bus for the first time getting on the bus to kindergarten. It was, it's a moment. It's a moment that moms and dads are feeling all around the country here this week and next week. Back to the battle on the racetrack. Tyler Ripkema has been up and down with Old Blue this year. Just when you think that they figured it out and they're going to start rattling off their, top tens, they've had a real up and down season. They had a major misfortune at North Wilkesboro Speedway where they had that huge wreck with Steven Kopsick. But he's back on the chip. I mean, he has not lost a step in his driving. It's just that circumstances haven't worked out for him this year. And when you're, it's different than when you're running your own team. They've run the 32 car for so many years, but to have the weight of Old Blue on your shoulders, I'm sure that weighs on him as he goes after Jacob Lutz.
Tyler Ripkema driving Old Blue, continuing to run well. Just the names that have driven that car to victory lane on the tour, synonymous with open-wheeled modified racing. Tyler started out running the microds down at the Southern Tier Club, got his sportsman wins around Western and Central New York, but good to see him running full-time on the tour. Dad Dean, Zach Truesdale, and the whole clan, the whole gang over there turning the wrenches on Old Blue.
A little further back in the pack, where is Justin Bonsignor? There he is, battling with cousin Kyle. He looks down to the inside, and it looks like Justin has the bite that wants to go down to the inside and make that move. But here at Oswego, you don't get the opportunity to put two tires on the speed bumps. There aren't any speed bumps. They're literally battling with steel going into turn number one. And Steve, you have been at this racetrack for a long time. You know the drill. As the night wears on, do these cars drift up the racetrack a little bit more?
They will steer up just a little bit to about the middle groove, right where Kyle Bonsignor is running right now, as his cousin Justin will make the pass on him there in turn number two. They will try their best to keep it down right up against the inside boilerplate, but they will drift up to that second groove, almost to the third groove now, as they work off turn number four.
Justin Bonsignor has a young family, didn't do any of the back-to-school photos this year. That's still a few years down the road. But speaking of family, they're going back to, the tour is going back to their hometown. They're going back to Riverhead. That's basically where the Bonsignor family resides, and his lone win on the tour this year was the first time we were at Riverhead, and it was amazing to see the entire family in victory lane. Justin said of all the 46 wins, there are a few that stick out. Obviously, first one's going to be big on the list, but out of all of the wins, and I think it really speaks to how he's developed as a man over the course of the time that he's been behind the wheel of the 51, that yeah, we're 46 years deep, or 46 races deep into these wins, and this one means the most to me because my family, all of my family is here posing with me in victory lane, and it's just, it's interesting on what moves the needle as you get older. And Justin Bonsignor, I'm not saying he's softening at all, but it was a cool little takeaway from a conversation that we recently had. Jacob Lutz on your screen. Lutz and Tyler Ripkema have had about a 20-lap battle. Lutz stays up on top of him by about 2 car lengths as they make their way into the corner. Old Blue continuing to peck away here. And everybody's still chasing Matt Hirschman. Hirschman's been out front since the very beginning of the race. And as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, if history is any indication and you're going to win here, you got to be one of the 40 greatest. And one of the 40 greatest is Matt Hirschman. On that list is his father, Tony. They're both in attendance for, well, obviously Matt's here. Tony's in attendance here today and talking about all of the pomp and circumstance that goes along with a weekend like this at Oswego. He says, I still feel it. I still remember winning those big races and riding around in the truck, part of the victory celebration. But there was an interesting stat, Steve, that you brought up on when Tony Hirschman really was laying it down back in the day in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour.
1989 was the year for Tony Hirschman here at the Oswego Speedway. He won on Memorial Day weekend. He won on 4th of July weekend. Did not win the race in August. Mike Stefanik won that one. And then Tony came back and won the event here on Labor Day weekend with the International Classic as the modifieds played. So runner up to that one as well.
So as Tony continues, excuse me, it's easy to say Tony because, you put them side by side, they look the same. Obviously a few years in between the two of them. It's a father and son after all. But still, talking with Tony this afternoon, and I said, one of the things I really admire about Matt is the note-taking, the studious driver that he is, and as calculated as he is. And I said, did he learn that from you? I think I know the answer, but what if I'm wrong? And he said, no, it's something that I used to do throughout my racing career, and that's where he learned from. He learned his habits from me. I think he's taken it to a different level, and it certainly worked out well for him. But there was something else that I didn't know about Matt Hirschman until today. And it was something that I thought, well, now that makes sense. The fact that he started in modifieds. Obviously, he's raced some different disciplines over the years, but when most modified drivers start, they'll either start in go-karts, quarter midgets, maybe they'll start in a hobby stock. No, not big money. Big money started in modifieds. And I think throwing him deep into that pool back in the day, 20, 25 years ago, whatever it was, has really he didn't learn any habits, bad habits or good habits. He was able to develop himself as a race car driver, and it pays off to this day. The PD Motorsports number 60, Troyer race car that Tony still has a lot to do with. Matt has still a lot to do with. It's basically their baby, and they are whipping the field right now.
Matt Hirschman is taking everybody to class. When Matt won a tour race in Lancaster earlier this month, it was a classic vintage Matt Hirschman performance, and right now we're about to see another one again.
Not if Austin Beers has something to say about it. Beers, I say, he's waxing the field, he being Hirschman. It's about 7 or 8 car lengths, and I think Austin Beers is smart enough to say, you know what, I can't win the race right now. I just got to keep him in my sights. There will be some pit stops at some point. We got to do something about that. I'm just going to sit here. Likewise for Craig Lutz in car number 46. Now, Lutz at Richmond was not strong out of the gate. It was Trevor Catalano who led a ton of laps. And people thought Catalano might sail to the victory. Catalanos have always been good at Richmond. But it was Craig Lutz who matched his Wilkesboro output a couple of weeks ago. He currently rides in position number 3. And then you have Patrick Emmerling. Emmerling, who won this race 1 year ago, and getting back to where he is now in the championship battle. The last couple of races have been really, really strong for him. He had the win at Thompson, and needs to continue that performance. Talking with him and his crew chief Dale Hedquist, saying, you know what, even though we're in pretty much the same position we were last year at this time, I feel we are 20% better as a team and 20% better in our notebook, because last year they were a first-year team, than we were 1 year ago. So the way that he closed out the year, everybody wants to talk about Justin Bonsignor, but number one, he rallied as well. He has some great tracks ahead of him, including Thompson, where, again, he most recently won. He's going to be tough to beat come championship time. One driver who won't be part of the championship, well, we've talked about it here tonight, unfortunately. But, hey, whenever we see Ron Silk, we're happy that the silver number 16 prepared by Phil Moran and that entire team are on the racetrack. It's, again, just a treat. And you know what? He's running lower than anybody else on the racetrack. I don't know too much about the setups here at Oswego, but we see a lot of drivers drifting up the racetrack. Is that just the sign of a really good handling race car, Steve?
That is a great sign of a great handling race car for Ronnie Silk, running just about not even a full car width off with the boilerplate, maybe like a half car length off the boilerplate, as now he'll have to go to the outside to get around the Brian Stone's number 12 machine. So he come down in front of the grandstands, and Ronnie will clear him and head right back down just inches off the boilerplate as they work off turn number 2.
He caught him at the worst possible time, so he lost about 3 or 4 car lengths from Patrick Emmerling, but he's going to get him back. So that's another thing about Ron Silk. So, all right, so if we're wagering our bets for the last 50 laps of this race, and we just crossed lap number 56, we still have just under 100 to go. It's not our job to play favorites. But if you want to watch someone who's not currently waxing the field, like a Matt Hirschman or a Austin Beers, watch that 16. A, he can put the car wherever he wants it, and B, he can seemingly close on the driver he's chasing at will. Remember, he lost all that ground to Sonos, catching the lap traffic at the wrong time. If he wasn't able to make that ground up, obviously he wouldn't have, and it only took him 2 laps to get right back to the back bumper. Although we might be seeing something which happens often on a track of this size for the modifieds, and that's you can catch a guy, but when you get within a tenth of them, you'll stall out. And I had this conversation with the driver that Ronnie's chasing right now, Patrick Emmerling. I said, you know what, as a layman, I'm not a race car driver. Can you explain to me on how you can have a fast race car, then get behind someone, and then not be able to pass him? How do you stall out? I hear about dirty air all the time. What does that mean? And he took some time to explain it to me in the sense where since you're running the same groove and you can't use all of the fresh air that you need to get into your race car to get around, you're not going to be able to make that move. So basically, you can be good on one side or the other, but it's very rare that you're good on both sides. So Silk continues to lead that battle, chasing Emmerling.
And if you're really good in that battle, get both clean air and dirty air, you'll be doing a pretty dang good job behind the wheel of the race car. And Ronnie Silk actually lost a little bit of ground that time, got a little loose that time off the corner, losing some ground there to Patrick Emmerling as Matt Hirschman continues to lead the field. But Austin Beers starting to chase him down as they're in heavy lap traffic here as they get to turns number 3 and 4.
Good thing that both drivers are really well versed in lap traffic, and they're going around. Geez, there's something I did not expect to see. Going around Tommy Catalano. Now, Tom Cat had a great race car last year. Awesome race car the year previous. Had a car capable of winning, but ended up in that incident with Justin Bonsignor, as he's just missed it a little bit here tonight. He wasn't all that fast in practice, but certainly riding the high of his 100th start at the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour level. And he was the big winner at Monadnock Speedway earlier this year, and now going down a lap to Craig Lutz. Yeah, something's amiss on that 54, and you hate to see it in front of the hometown crowd. We had an autograph session earlier this afternoon, and the biggest group of people surrounding a vehicle was certainly huddled around that PF54. Can you give us a little history on the throwback scheme that Catalano's running here tonight?
Yeah, that is the Patsy Joe 54.
PJ,
Tommy's grandfather, Patsy Joe Catalano, had that paint job in the early days of racing. Even the fire suit's identical to what Patsy Joe had for Tommy, as he'll lose some ground there as Patrick Emmerling was able to get around him.
But that's so
well.
cool that
but that's just amazing seeing that paint job. I saw it for the first time they came to Lancaster, and literally my jaw literally dropped when I saw that car in person.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, it's funny. What did I say, PF, like a Planet Fitness? No. But the 54 of Catalano continues to roll around the racetrack. They brought so many race cars here this week, and it's something that they do every single race. Most tour races they have 2, sometimes they have 3. And whenever we race someplace like Oswego or Lancaster, they bring the whole Dang family, and the Dang family drives race cars.
They do indeed. Their youngest, Troyer, runs a street stock at Lancaster. Of course, all the sportsmen and the tour-type modifieds. And that's just the pavement cars. That doesn't include any of the dirt cars that they have in the stable.
Mom, Amy, was racing just a few minutes before the Whelen Modified Tour broadcast. And, just an excellent racing family. And talking to them here this morning, I've talked to them a number of times, but this afternoon, I'm like, so what do you guys do? Like, what is the catalog? He goes, well, we work hard all day, then we come home and work on race cars. And, that's the American dream. It's the American dream to find people in your life that you care about, that love the same thing that you do. And the time very rarely gets old that you spend with them. And what I mean is sometimes when you're in a family situation and in that dynamic, whether you own a business together or you're on a race team together, hockey travel, whatever it's youth sports, you're just like, sometimes patience wears a little thin. And I'm sure it does in the Catalano family as well. But each one of them seemed just genuinely excited to be around each other. And they're the first to champion the other's success. And I don't know if that gets talked about enough. It's just, again, what I would call an American dream family. Hardworking people in New York State that love racing, and they have the means to race. So what do? Buy race cars. Who races? Everybody.
Everybody races indeed, as we're nearing the halfway point here for the Toyota Mod Classic 150 at Oswego. And there's the cross sticks up, 75 in, 75 to go. And the guy that they're all chasing continues to be Mud Lane's a big money, Matt Hirschman.
So for those who are just tuning into this broadcast for the first time, or they've just gotten into the Whelen Modified Tour here in their 40th year, give us the backstory on Mud Lane.
Mud Lane, the Beers family, the Hirschman family, and a few others down there in Northampton, Pennsylvania. All they do is race. They raced at Evergreen Speedway, Layton, St. John's, a few others down there in PA. Dominated. They come up here. What do? They dominate, and they nickname Northampton Mud Lane. And sure enough, the drivers of Mud Lane continues to dominate this one. The four horsemen of Mud Lane is Matt and Tony Hirschman, and then Austin and Austin's dad, Eric Pierce.
As one of the four horsemen continue to lead this race, and he has double file lap traffic ahead of him, and one of them is getting a little chirpy up there. Look at Mike Christopher in the number 77. Now they're 3 wide, and Matt Hirschman says, hey, you know what, we're just gonna, just another lap. That's how calm he is. Does not overreact, takes the lap, and now sits behind Trevor Catalano as they work their way off of turn number 2. On the racetrack, or on the infield, is Ken Hagee in the number 18. That does not bring out a caution. We're just past halfway in the main event for tonight in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. It is the first of 5 races to wrap up the 2025 racing season, the Toyota Mod Classic 150 here at the Steel Palace on Labor Day weekend. Austin Beers remains about 5 car lengths off the back. And talking to a few of the championship contenders, they're talking about bonus points now. Because with a condensed field that we have here tonight, every race car position, every position on the racetrack is that much more of a premium. And it's harder to close on somebody. It's also harder to get away. Now, Austin Beers has a double-digit point lead. That is going to expand due to where Justin Bonsignor is. I mean, Justin is, we got to see if he's still even in the top 10. You would know, you have the stats right in front of you. Justin's having an off night on a night where he really needed to be on it. The other Bonsignor, Kyle, going down a lap here. But it won't be long before Justin Bonsignor goes down a lap. So Austin Beers will expand his point lead on Justin Bonsignor. However, by leading a lap here tonight, guess who's going to get a bonus point? Matt Hirschman. If Matt Hirschman wins, he gets the bonus points to go along with winning. So he is the one that's chipping away at Austin Beers. 30 points between those drivers, the 5 drivers vying for the 2025 crown. Coming into this race, Craig Lutz and Matt Hirschman were tied. So Hirschman will likely move up to position number 3 if the race ended now. No, excuse me, sole possession of 4th. Lutz would be back to 5th. I think Emmerling would stay 3rd. Justin Bonsignor is going to be tight for 2nd spot. Boy, I'll tell you, and that's with 5 races to go. We're really heating up. We're getting into the stretch of the season, and the points are starting to squeeze together like an accordion. There's Justin on your flow screen. He's on the right side, and he's going after Tyler Ripkema.
Battle for 8th there as we go split screen with the 2 drivers from Mud Lane, Matt Hirschman and Austin Beers. We have a 63 to go here at the Oswego Speedway, the Toyota Mod Classic 150. There's Justin, able there to complete the pass there on Ripkema. So move Justin Bonsignor to the 8th spot. Ripkema back to 9th. Kyle Bonsignor 10th. Last car on the lead lap here right now.
You know, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour celebrating its 40th anniversary, and one of the paint schemes that has been a stalwart for the 40 years is that old blue number 3 racing back in in 1988 when we first started racing here. Those first 2 races won by Brian Ross. Matt Hirschman drove the number 3 for a little while as well. They've had a number of different, even in recent memory, you know, guys like Donnie Leah, Rowan Pennick, Jake Johnson most recently picked up a win. As we look at the battle that is now developing for 4th, on your screen into turn number 1, there goes Ronnie Silk. Silk looks down to the inside on Patrick Emmerling. There's a couple of lap cars behind them, and Kyle Bonsignor and Trevor Catalano. Silk looks like he's getting off the corner, getting into the corner better. It's Emmerling who's able to get off, and they stay single file off of turn number 2.
They do indeed, as Kyle Bonsignor and Trevor Catalano battle right behind them. Yes, they are both a lap down to leader Matt Hirschman, but they're still battling for positions 10 and 11 on the racetrack, and every point does matter, especially with those two still on the outside of the top 5 for Whelen points. But once again, every point matters in the final 5 races of the year.
Holy smoke, to your point, there is such a battle for 6th right now between Kyle Bonsignor, Trevor Catalano is another one of those drivers involved there too. It's, Tommy Catalano. Oh, no, it was Trevor. Trevor is there. Tommy is running in 10th in the point standings. It's just been a pretty wild year where there are multiple battles for different positions within the point standings. You know, these guys have to be screaming for tires at this point. We are 94 laps in this race, have not had a single slowdown, and these drivers didn't bank on this. They knew that Oswego takes a longer green flag run, but they didn't expect 95 laps. So, no brainer, if there is a caution flag, all these guys are coming to pit road, and you can only change 2 tires. But which 2 tires do you change? Do you just go with the rears, or do you go with the rights? It's going to be interesting.
Definitely will be an interesting decision to make here, as I'm betting these drivers are screaming at their spotters and crew chiefs like, get me tires and get them to me now.
Yeah, it looks
like
50
to go.
It looks like the only guy that's having a good time, 2 guys. Matt Hirschman, as good of a time that Matt Hirschman can ever have. You know, he's a pretty low-key kind of guy. He's up front. Obviously, the race is going well for him. Everybody else, get me to pit road. Can somebody spin out, except Ron Silk? Ron Silk kind of has that, that new Ron Silk energy. And I know that he's racing more than just the Whelen Modified Tour, so it's not like he's only racing 4 or 5 times a year. But, talking to Ron a few weeks ago, he said, it has been a detriment to our program. While we're not running the entire schedule, the fact that we're not in the seat every single week does hurt us on this tour from time to time. Look at this. Look at this big battle down the back straightaway. You have Steven Kopsick in car number 21, fall back a little bit, and Justin Bonsignor moving past him. That's another point in the championship. Every single car means a point, and it's such a premium in a condensed field with only a short number of races left to go.
And Justin trying to reel in a 6th place running Jake Lutz in front of him as they work around the corner. There's Justin going to your screen one more time as we click 100 laps on the board, 50 to go for the Toyota Mod Classic.
So Justin Bonsignor continues to try to climb the leaderboard, but is he going to go down 1 lap? Chances are, if we stay green within the next 5 to 7 laps, he's going to be in major, major trouble. There's Patrick Emmerling, there's Ronnie Silk, but you saw the distance between Justin Bonsignor and leader Matt Hirschman. There was about 10, 13 car lengths, and Justin, relatively strong, but not necessarily strong enough to hold off a charging Matt Hirschman. And one must wonder, what does he do at that point? Does he, and there is, nope. Yep, caution flag is out. I thought I saw some Whelen lights. See Catalano on the screen. The Whelen caution lights are on. Whelen, the official warning lights of NASCAR, trusted to protect first responders. And with 46 laps to go in the Toyota Mod Classic 150 here at the Steel Palace, Oswego Speedway, we are under yellow for the first time, and we are going to see a very busy pit road here momentarily. We have a man on the scene, Trent Wilkinson, who I'm sure will bring us some great stories from pit road, as this race could be split into two different races. You know, you had Matt Hirschman obviously leading and running single file like we have, but the drivers who were just a little bit off, they make that adjustment because there's chemistry within the team. The crew chief knows what the driver needs. They give them that, and it's a whole new race. Take Richmond a couple of weeks ago. Trevor Catalano led the field for nearly 50 laps. Didn't win. Craig Lutz made the adjustment and sailed to the victory.
Pit road's about to be as busy as the 6 and 90 and I-81 will be this weekend.
One driver pulling down pit road a little early. That looks like it's Ken Hagee, who's battled some issues off and on here today. But as far as the leaders, you have Tyler Ripkema. Ripkema is the first driver one lap down and leading the charge. Again, 2 tires is what they can do. Will they be rear tires? Will they be right side tires? Nobody's changing the left front, but let's see what happens. Hirschman leads them to pit road. There's Austin Beers going around as well. Austin Beers, they go to the right. And right side tires for Matt Hirschman. Hirschman's going to go right side. He does not do rear. You cannot change more than 2 tires per stop. So he's off. Very quickly off. Very tight race between Austin Beers and Matt Hirschman. Hirschman's going to show as the leader as they come off pit road. And then there's Austin Beers in the number 64, followed by Craig Lutz, and then Ronnie Silk. So not many changes among the top 5, but it's going to be interesting as they come back in. So most drivers come back to pit road, but there's one driver who does not, and this is the strategy call that we love to see. Someone tries something different, and as you see on the front straightaway, car number 64, Austin Beers, elects to not come in. He stays on the racetrack second time around. Will that pay dividends, or does he come in here and lose the track position? We're going to find out here momentarily. It looks like he's going to stay out this time. Yes, everybody gets. Stephen Copsett comes in. So pretty much everybody made 2 stops. Austin Beers made 1. He seemed to run a fairly conservative race, so maybe he did not burn up. Let's see, I can't remember what he changed. Did he change the rear tires?
Austin changed the rear tires. Matt's first trip down changed the right. Second trip down changed to the left rear tire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you don't change you can change the left front, but most elect not to. And it's going to be interesting with Austin Beers. You said he changed the rear tires. So right front is what he is banking on to hold up here over the final. By the time we get back to green flag racing, probably going to be about 39 laps to go if everything shakes out. So under yellow for the first time tonight, thanks to Tommy Catalano, spinning in his 100th start in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour in the throwback paint scheme. Certainly a fast race car in the years past, but just missing the setup here tonight. And, we talked about drivers screaming for tires. Just get me to pit road, but I don't want to be the caution. It was Catalano as the caution for that one. Lights out on the pace truck. We're ready to go, and it's going to be interesting. Austin Beers made 1 pit stop. Everybody else made 2, including the driver who looked like he was the most comfortable behind the wheel before the caution flag, and that's Ronnie Silk. He could put that car pretty much wherever he wanted it. Didn't have the track position to be up in front, but now has a shot on the outside of Austin Beers. With 39 laps to go, the green flag is out, and the Toyota Mod Classic 150 is back underway. Austin Beers gets the jump in turn number 2.
He'll head down the back straightaway. Ronnie Silk rides 2. Craig Lutz third. Justin Bonson, you're on a mission. But here comes Matt Hirschman outside. Hang on. Tommy Catalano into the foam in turn number 3. And they'll put the Whelen caution lights back on here at Oswego.
And a tough night for Tom Cat. And you can see the frustration, the dejection. He has already put the window net down. The steering wheel has been put on the dashboard and the PJ number 54. Yeah, we talk about the building of the heritage or carrying of the heritage with Old Blue and some of the different paint schemes. We talk about that paint scheme meaning so much to so many in this part of the country. And I was talking to one of the longtime fans and employees of Oswego Speedway. He says, yeah, you know, the red was a little darker. So Tomcat's out of the race car, and here's what happened. Goes high, everything, Kopsic was he just swerved to avoid it's just an accordion-like effect. That's what's going to happen here. We'll have another look at it as we go into turn number 3. Everybody checks up. Looks like Lutz checked up, so did, the other Lutz, Jacob Lutz, and then there's Stephen Kopsic, and then there's Tommy Catalano ending up into the foam barriers yet again. Lighter hit than he had a couple of years ago when battling for the win with Justin Bonsinger. We pointed out that throwback, I hate that this is the way we see it, but that throwback fire suit. It just looks all sorts of stroker race cool. But a guy who has, in a family, has continued to, carry the tradition, gets into the truck. This is the Toyota Mod Classic 150 here at the Steel Palace Oswego Speedway. We're 114 laps into this one and back after this break on Flow Racing.
We couldn't do it without Whelen. I don't believe we've ever taken a product off that was broken. We put the car out of service.
What price do you put on a life? We don't want to run the risk of causing loss of life through our response.
Whelen sells peace of mind. Their goal is to get home each and every evening. And if we play a small part in ensuring they get home safely each day, it's extremely gratifying.
We're back to a Labor Day Classic here at the iconic Steel Palace Oswego Speedway. It's the Toyota Mod Classic 150. My name's Andy Austin, along with Steve Petty, giving you the side-by-side racing action and the pit strategy. That was all about Austin Beers. That has been the biggest story here in the last 7 minutes since the first caution flag flew just a couple of minutes ago. Most drivers made 2 stops during that cycle, except Austin Beers. Beers, knowing that track position is everything, and was willing to roll the dice. And however the championship plays out this year, you gotta love Ron Uhouse. You gotta love the Beers family for saying, you know what, we're not gonna be conservative. We're here to win. We're here to race. And we have a point lead, but you know what, we're not gonna just settle for second. We're not gonna settle for third.
No, they are not. Tyler Ripkema back on pit road once again in Old Blue.
And you know what? They also want money, too. Look at that. $11,000 to win this race. A huge gap between first and second. So there's $7,000 right there between first and second. So there are bonus points. That's another thing when you're chasing the championship. Then there's the big money that goes along with winning this race. And that includes the Whelen winner bonus of the race bonus as well for tonight here at Oswego Speedway. Big money being paid out by Whelen. That was one of the huge stories in the offseason. I remember when we wrapped up the year at Martinsville last year, and there was a huge press conference about Whelen's 25th year as the title sponsor, and Whelen's 40th year for the Whelen Tour was to come in 2025, and the way that we've celebrated that with the 40 greatest drivers, it's a list, and a list is made for people like us to argue about over and over again about who was not on the list or who was shunned. Why did that person make it? I'm telling you, whoever put it together, whether it was the people at NASCAR, I think it was a collaboration between Whelen and NASCAR, it was so well researched and so balanced too, because you had the pioneers like Richie Evans, Charlie Jasonbach, Brian Ross on that list. You had the mid-career people like the Fullers and Steve Park, and then you have some of the heroes that are out there on the racetrack here tonight. Patrick Emmerling, you have Ron Silk, you have Justin Bonsignor, you have Matt Hirschman, whose dad Tony Hirschman is also on that list. The 40 greatest modified drivers in the 40 years of the Whelen Modified Tour. I would not want to be tasked with that list. Kudos to those who put that together and spent the agonizing months trickling out all of those lists.
I don't think I could have made that list any better than what they did.
You know, and I wrote this on Twitter/X when they dropped the fourth list. I said, you know, basically what I said here on the broadcast is lists are made for discussion. They're made for us to argue. But boy, try to find a hole in that list.
I couldn't find one.
No, I mean, just it was real. If you're a fan of modified racing and you love history, whether you've been watching the sport and this discipline of racing for 10, 15 years, and you only heard of Richie Evans, you only saw Charlie Jasonbach on YouTube on some of those old modified races that are now on the NASCAR Classic channel when they raced in North Wilkesboro back in the day. Oh, those are great to watch. I'll kill 2 hours just watching good old modified racing in the late 80s, early 90s. Well, next time by, we're going to go green. There'll be a 30-lap sprint to the finish. This racetrack, constructed as a horse racing track, was converted into a 3/8 mile dirt track in 1951. It was paved in 1952 and 1962. Oswego was transformed to the configuration that you see, whether it's on your screen on Flow Racing or in front of your eyes right here, by attending the Budweiser International Classic, night number 2, and 30 laps to go. Green flag in the air, and the Toyota Mod Classic 150 is back underway.
Two by two as they enter turns number 3 and 4. Austin Beers up in front ahead of Ronnie Silk. Craig Lutz third, Justin Bonsignor fourth, Matt Hirschman glued to the rear Nerf bar. The Phoenix Communications 51, but he's bringing Patrick Emmerling right with him as they head back for 3.
What a big swing by Justin Bonsignor, and that's exactly what the Ken Massa Ryan Stone team needed to do. Up inside the top 5 on a night where they were regulated outside the top 5 and running strong here in the late stages. But a challenge for the lead into turn number 3. Here comes Ronnie Silk, brand new leader in turn 3.
First time Ronnie Silk leads the field here at Oswego on a Saturday night as they work back to turns number 1 and 2. And Austin Beers is not giving it up quite easily. They work off turn 2, but Silk will lead them by 2 car lengths. They head back for 3.
That was the lowest I have seen Austin Beers ride since lap number 1. But you know who's even lower? Big race, Craig Lutz. Lutz, who won at North Wilkesboro Speedway and also our most recent winner in Richmond. Last summer, it was Patrick Emmerling who came alive in the month of August and carried that momentum all the way to the championship race at Martinsville. Could we be seeing a similar situation with Craig Lutz this year? That team has had spectacular speed for years, but their Achilles heel was putting together a full race. And I think once they figured out how to do that, they would lead a ton of laps, but they could very rarely close it out. Craig Lutz, with 2 wins this year, and the 30-year-old from Long Island dives down to the inside on Northampton, Pennsylvania's Austin Beers, battling the point leaders side by side into turn number 3.
And Craig Lutz will clear him by a front Nerf bar off turn number 4. The runner-up spot now belongs to the 46 of Lutz, and Justin Bonsignor is right there on the back end of the KCM 64 for Beers. Hirschman trying to protect 5th. He's trying to run the bottom, but Patrick Emmerling trying to go the long way around the Fleetwood's number 1.
Emmerling has to be a bit frustrated and now taking matters into his own hands. We know that there is only 22 laps to go, and it is time to go. Every position is at a premium. Each position means a point in the championship battle. And the driver that is chasing him is the fastest driver on the racetrack, and that is Craig Lutz. I'm talking about Patrick Emmerling now as he battles with Matt Hirschman. Hirschman down to the inside, and so far, the strategy of only coming in once has paid dividends for Justin Bonsignor, but that may change here after a few more laps. Matt Hirschman's going to the inside, and something tells me once Hirschman gets there, we could see a freight train because there, oh, trouble. What a save by Justin Bonsignor. That is why he is a 4-time champion. Most other drivers would have ended up in the styrofoam in turn number 2, had that thing about 20, 30 degrees sideways, gathered it back up, and will live to race the rest of this event.
That save by Justin Bonsignor, that would be really good on the dirt when the dirt gets laid down for Super Dirt with just how they drift the modifieds around at this racetrack. But an incredible save for Bonsignor. It would only lose a few spots on the racetrack.
Steve Petty, I don't mean to be dramatic, but that's what I major in. That could have saved his season. When you trace back on where Justin Bonsignor lost the 23 championship, by the way, to Ron Silk, it was a wreck going into turn number 1 while battling for the lead. Now, talking to Justin this afternoon, I alluded to it, but he quickly knew where the conversation was going because he has likely played that event in his head the last couple of years. And while he is not undeterred and certainly goes hard every single lap, he knows that that's where they lost the championship that night. Now, had he wrecked, it would have been a similar situation, probably regulated back to 13th or 14th position, where he could probably finish this race in 6th or 7th. That's a big swing. And say he gets on a roll like he did last year, wins some races at Riverhead or Thompson or even Martinsville. He won all of those last year, and he still comes up short. That's where he would have lost it, just like 2 years ago. He's down to the inside of Steven Kopchik. Kopchik, who has started the season off like a rocket, 2 second-place finishes, and oh, trouble again. They make contact. Old Blue's involved, and there goes Kyle Bonsignor. Everybody stay straight. Somehow we remain green.
How we remain green here at Oswego with 13 to go. My mind is completely blown as we work around the racetrack. Kyle Bonsignor, Tyler Ripkema, Mike Christopher, Trevor Catalano, all right there as they work off turn number 2. Ripkema able to hold off Mike Christopher. How there's no suspension damage or anything on Old Blue right now is beyond me.
That's what I love about this division. They race hard. They lean on each other. Sometimes they'll ram into each other. But these cars just keep on going. They take a beating. Justin Bonsignor has gone about 4 rounds with his race car in just the last half dozen laps. He's still ticking. He's behind Kopchik. Now he wasn't able to get the position. Now there's some debris on the back of the 21 race car. And I believe that would be Justin Bonsignor's race car that's behind him or trailing him right now. Wow, laps winding down, just 10 to go when they hit the start-finish line this time. Yeah, you can see the cosmetic damage as he races his cousin further on back. But all eyes on Steven Kopchik, and you don't want to. Now here goes Kyle Bonsignor, and I believe that is for position as these guys have been slaving away through the latter stages of this race, and don't count out Tyler Ripkema. Yeah, give the advantage. No, Kyle Bonsignor's on a different lap. He's 1 lap down, so Justin did not lose a lap. I'm looking at the scoreboard right now. No, indeed he did. So, okay, so an update on that one. Kyle did get the lap back, so that was a pass for position, as will this one be if Tyler Ripkema can get by. Everybody's chasing Ron Silk. Silk's been here before. He has led this race for the last 20 laps or so. Really, I loved what Ron Silk's race car looked like for a good chunk of this race. He just wasn't showing it, but that's Ronnie Silk. He knew what he had. and he wasn't going to accept less until it was time to go. As Tyler Ripkema gets by the 51 of Justin Bonsignor, and yeah, the suspension, the damage, it's really starting to show its wear. That car's really out of shape in the closing laps, and he's going to lose another spot here if he's not careful to Mike Christopher Jr., and then there's Trevor Catalano in there as well. This time by 5 laps to go, your leader continues to be Ron Silk. Silk down the back straightaway, Ron Silk is up in front, not running the full schedule this year. But whenever the 16 team shows up, they're still a factor. This is a good battle for position number 3, and it's between 2 drivers, actually 3 of them, all battling for the championship. Point leader Austin Beers. Then there's the number 1 of Emmerling, who's right in the tire tracks. He is merely inches off the back bumper as they exit turn number 2.
They'll work it down the back. Patrick Emmerling trying to get the outside groove going one more time. And will that open up the door for Matt Hirschman? No, Hirschman could not reel him in. And here comes Emmerling inside of Austin Beers going into turn number 1. The Fleetworks number 1 trying to get underneath the 64 of Beers. They'll bang their bars down the back straightaway. Patrick Emmerling up to now position number 3, and he's going to try to bring Matt Hirschman with him.
It was a gamble to stay out and only do 1 pit stop, and it paid off well until it didn't. With 5 laps to go, Austin Beers giving it everything he can, but he's certainly feeling the effects of only that single pit stop. As Patrick Emmerling gets around, it's Matt Hirschman who's trying to get around next as the laps continue to wind down. All eyes on number 16. We talk about drivers who picked up 2 wins at this racetrack, and we've talked a lot about Matt Hirschman. We've talked a lot about Justin Bonsignor. And who is next to equal Tony Hirschman? Well, how about car number 16? The winner of the Labor Day Classic here at the iconic Steel Palace, winning for the 3rd time in the Toyota Mod Classic, it's Ronnie Silk. For the 29th time in his NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour career, the 2-time champion who has never started outside the top 10 here at Oswego Speedway, and didn't tonight, Phil Moran and the crew will be celebrating on Labor Day weekend. Pulls down into victory lane, and what a night for car 16, who could put it pretty much wherever he wanted it for the first half, but again, didn't show his hand. If you saw it on Flow, or if you were watching with your eyes here at the racetrack and you kept your eye on the 16, you knew what he had. And he made that minor adjustment with about 40 laps to go, and then it was lights out. Ron Silk was racing like a gentleman against a driver who was battling for the championship. He knows what it's like, and you hear oftentimes on the race, within racers, I'll race you like you race me. Austin Beers, a clean racer. Ronnie Silk gave him the respect that he's racing for a championship, but hey, I want to win this race. So they raced hard. They raced clean. Silk made the pass and did not look back. And there are races that I know mean a lot to Ronnie over the course of his career. This could be one of them, even though he's been here before. 2 times the winner at Oswego Speedway. And getting out of the race car here, victorious for the 29th time in his NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour career. Hat goes on, breaking a little bit of a sweat on Labor Day weekend. And the sweet taste of victory, yes, getting the congratulations from team members. They come together on a great weekend of racing. That means a ton to those who are students of history. Phil Moran leading right in there, and it does never get old. And big smile on Ron Silk's face. You're about to hear from him here momentarily down into victory lane. He'll also be drawing the Hoosier Tire winner, and he's out of the race car here on Labor Day weekend. The winner of Toyota Mod Classic 150 at the Steel Palace is Ronnie Silk. And let's go trackside to Trent Wilkinson with tonight's winner.
With Ron Silk winning this race, Ron, let's talk about that pit strategy there. What did you decide to go with?
Yeah, we were a little bit tight that whole first run. Our car was good, but I figured there probably wasn't going to be another yellow. We needed to take as many tires as we could, so we got all 3. My guys had a great stop, got us out first out of all the guys that took 3. And I think Austin, he obviously had a great car. He just paid the price for not getting the, I assume, right front tire.
And then afterwards, after that pit stop and with a couple of cautions, you went out and got the lead ahead.
Yeah, just a great car. I was happy with it all day here. Everyone on my team did a fantastic job all day. Like I said, the pit crew won us the race, got us the track position. Pretty tough to pass here. So just want to thank Future Homes, Blue Mountain Machine, all the guys that come and volunteer their time to do this. One of our main guys, Lonnie Hates, at home. He's not feeling too good. Lonnie, we're all thinking of you. We wish you were here. This one's for you.
All right, Ron, we're going to have you now draw the Hoosier Tire Award. The numbers between 10 and 17, and the Hoosier Tire Award goes to the driver who finished in 16th. And that would be Tommy Catalano, who wins the Hoosier Tire Award. So Rod Silk, your feature winner tonight, picks up his 29th career victory in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour.
All right, thank you very much, Trent. Ron Silk, happy from Victory Lane, and what a race. I mean, that's a man who's been here. He knows it. He says, all right, we're probably not going to get another caution flag, so we got to get these 3 tires. And credit to Austin Beer saying, you know what, he had a great race car, but the only thing that he missed was the fact that he didn't have that right front tire at the end, and that, in the end, seemed like it made all the difference in the world. Justin Bonsignor did exactly what he had to do, and that is take the swing. Get the track position, hope that it pays off. And he had a very rough race over the last couple of laps, but he'll bring it home with a top 10 finish. He'll lose some ground in the point standings, which continue to tighten up as we look ahead to our next event that's coming up in Riverhead, and we have New Hampshire. I mean, it's going to be a great stretch of the season here for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Hopefully you have been entertained by this one. We're not done yet. The Toyota Modified Classic 150 here at the Steel Palace at Oswego Speedway. Have Monadnock on the brain, because every time I see Ron Silk, I know he has trouble at Monadnock. It doesn't mean that he's not fast there. It's just that it's one of those tracks where he leaves, and I think he's glad it's over. But certainly not over in Victory Lane with the 3 fingers up there. He now joins Tony Hirschman in rare company as a 3-time winner at Oswego Speedway. So Craig Lutz had himself one heck of a night, and let's go trackside to hear all about it. Trent?
Craig Lutz finishing in second place here tonight. Lutz, you went with the pit stop strategy, and it pays off for you to finish in second place tonight.
Yeah, we had a really solid car. The guys had an awesome pit stop, so it put us in contention. Just fired off a little tighter than we needed to for that first run. The time that Ron got out there, it was just too much ground to close up. We were just a little bit too tight. But all in all, an awesome effort by our guys. Between the last 2 races, really turned the momentum around. So just can't thank everyone enough who gets the car here and for all the hard work, for all the guys put into this. Russell Goodell, Jeff Goodell, Riverhead Building Supply, all the guys behind us. My fiance at home for always supporting me, being away all the time. But just all in all, an awesome effort by us. Just came up a little bit short.
And then Craig Woods finishing, going to take second place to finish the night here at the Steel Palace.
Thanks, Trent, and I think that's progress from the 46 team, Steve. They're disappointed with that finish. I think maybe last year at this time, they would have been elated to finish off a race finishing second and third. That was one of their biggest problems in the last couple of years.
It has, but with Craig, he has found victory lane, and of course, Dale Earnhardt said it best, second sucks. And that's basically literally what I could see from Craig Lutz on the cameras here on Flow. But Patrick Emmerling coming home with third tonight.
Someone might want to remind him that this is going to be a really good points night for him. Craig Lutz has a night where he's going to sandwich back into the championship conversation. He was certainly there beforehand, but this is just icing on the cake that's really going to help them as they get closer to Riverhead, which is where he's from. Let's go down trackside to Trent as we have Patrick Emmerling finishing third.
With Patrick Emmerling finishing at third, in the last laps, you and Austin Beers, you had that battle going on right to the end.
Yeah, I mean, we unloaded with really fast Fleetworks #1 today, and yeah, I mean, we had a car similar to last year. We were slightly off, just very small on that first run there, and we came in. We had a little bit of a mishap in the pits there, and you know, so it changed up our strategy. It changed up what we were going to do. We came in, took that extra tire, and we were coming at the end. We were the fastest car at the end, but with track position, it's really tough here to pass cars, and but yeah, we battled back from that one with a solid run, and yeah, I think we were the fastest car at the end of the race, and just have to thank everyone involved here, and Fleetworks, Middlesex Interiors, pretty much LFR. We have a lot of stickers on this car here, so yeah, good run for us, and we'll just continue on.
All right, and Patrick Aaron, thank you. Going to take third place in tonight's Toyota Mod Classic event.
Thank you very much, Trent Wilkinson. Amazing job from the infield here tonight in telling those stories and getting up close with the personalities who wheeled around one of the most historic speedways in all of North America. We're leaving here tonight as Ron Silk gets the congratulations from Craig Lutz. And we look at Riverhead Raceway. That is next weekend, New Hampshire Motor Speedway on September 20th. Thompson Motorsports Park, October 12th. And we wrap up the season on a Thursday night at Martinsville Speedway, October 23rd. It's going to be an amazing stretch, and all of the players really love the racetracks. One driver who's not going to be part of the championship battle this year is Ron Silk, and I think most of the competitors are pretty okay with that, because given Silk's recent history, when he gets on a roll, when he has a race car like he had tonight, he's not coming up for air for like 2 to 3 weeks. He just goes out there and just eats.
No, and when you get Ronnie Silk in victory lane, he just wants to be back in victory lane again and again and again, and I would not be surprised if that HYK 16 car doesn't come back on the tour and try to win another one here in the Final Four.
It's a weekend full of history, the International Classic, and it was full of turmoil for Tommy Catalano, Matt Hirschman, then there was Justin Bonsignor, that amazing save, and then more drama for Bonsignor. It's been a blast here tonight with Ronnie Silk taking down the checkered flags in the Toyota Mod Classics 150. For Steve Petty, my name's Andy Austin. Have yourself a great night and happy Labor Day weekend.
Reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.